Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. And I wanted to just take a few moments of your time and talk a little bit about what escapism means and what it means for our reading. I've noticed in recent weeks, as this pandemic seems to continue on, people are uttering the phrase more and more while I'm reading just because I need to escape. I need to get out of this. And so, from a biblical worldview, what does that mean? And is escapism really something we should be reading for? Escapism, according to some definitions, is the intentional act of trying to avoid reality. More specifically, most of them will say that it's to avoid negative reality. And I understand that. I really do. During these difficult times, it's easy to want to just get away from it all, to step outside of what's going on, and instead to do something for ourselves. So I really do understand this, and I myself sometimes face this same struggle. And yet I would tell you that as Christians, what we see from Scripture is that we're called to deal with reality. And so it makes me question, should Christians really be engaging in what is called escapism? Now first, we must understand a little bit about relaxation, because there's a fine line between relaxation and reading for escapism. And Scripture definitely tells us that rest is a good thing. We need rest. And we see that from the beginning, in the first day when God set the seventh day aside. We see that in Exodus 34, where God also set aside that last day for a day of rest. And then the psalmist, of course, in Psalm 127:2, urges sleep and rest. And so we need that aspect of life. Physically, we know that in our state, we need rest in order to continue on. Otherwise, the body just begins to break down. But there's this other side of it, and that's the escapism aspect. See, there's a fine line between the two, and what I would tell you is that relaxation draws us nearer to God, where on the other side of that, escapism draws us away from God. Well, how can that be? Certainly we have imagination and we have creativity, and therefore those should be treasured as gifts from God. I'm not doubting that at all. I love a good story. I love a good fiction book. But escapism, when we read in order to escape the world, first, we're avoiding reality. We've already established that. But second, we're avoiding our responsibility. We're responsible for reaching out during this time of difficulty. We're responsible for teaching truth to our children, to our families, to others around us. And by escaping, we're avoiding that reality and that responsibility. But finally, I would say we're just avoiding reliance on God. Certainly in difficult times, yes, we want to get away, but those are the moments when God grows us. We see that in 1 Peter 3. We see that in James chapter 1. That God uses these trials and these trying times in order to reach our heart. It's a time in which we can rely on Him, that we can draw nearer to God, and that we can recognize that God is still at work. And yet when we try to escape that, we escape our reliance upon God. I'm not going to sit here and condemn somebody who wants to escape from the world. I'm not going to tell you yes or no. I think it's a matter of conscience. It's not something I'm going to divide over. But as Christians, I would say we need to be very discerning. And so I hope just in this moment, this will help you to cause you to think about, why are you reading? I think even in a good fiction book that may in one sense draw us from this world, as we start thinking about the world in which we're reading about, we still are able to enjoy a good story while learning. We're learning other people's perspectives. We're learning about the world around us. And hopefully we better be doing it through a lens that is filtered by Scripture. And so thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a great day and think more about both what you're reading and why you're reading it.